Shalom Lekulam. Welcome to our 7th lesson on the intermediate level of Kabbalah. Today we're going to be talking about the world of correction and the worlds of Biyah. And in order to talk about that, we're going to continue explaining a little bit more about the Olam Nekudim, the world of chaos, and what really happened there. And then after that, we're gonna talk about the Melachim, and then how the Melachim, which in the book of Bereshit you're gonna find that the Melachim are corrected when the 7 days of creation were made. That's according to the Kabbalah, of course. Okay. So before we start, let's start first reading an intention for our study, and we do this in order to have a purpose as we study this, and an intention is always good because it helps us realize that the reason we're studying Kabbalah is not for our sake, but for the sake of the unification of the collective soul of Adam HaRishon, and that we can only achieve that through the love through love, basically, by loving every human being that we have or we have find across in our path, regardless of their differences. And also, an intention like the one we're gonna read help us somehow connect to a different level than the one that we find ourselves before the study. We find sometimes ourselves in a very physical level of when it comes to our consciousness, and this is a way to raise our consciousness to a higher level, to a higher vibration, if you will. And instead of the vibration that we're every day, or emotional and energetic vibration that we have when we are at work or we're dealing with families and friends and things like that, when we're studying Kabbalah, we try to raise that, to raise our emotions or thoughts to a different level. So let's read this intention so we can start the study. As I study, I keep in my mind that the true purpose of my attainment of wisdom and knowledge is to learn that the Creator is good, that only does good. Anything I see negative in my life is an illusion created by my own limited perception. So as we study, you're going to study the Shevirah HaKalim. Probably in the other lesson you already studied it, if you are following us in order, following the lessons in order. And what we have learned is that there was a breaking of the vessels. And the breaking of the vessels, as probably you heard me mention before in another lesson, it's the root of evil. But what we see as evil is not necessarily evil. And even though you're going to find in the Torah that words are given to the Creator saying that He has created, good and evil, both. And it is true, but remember, good and evil is according to the perception of human beings. According to the perception of the Creator, there's no such thing as good and evil. Everything has a purpose. Everything needs to be needs to exist for a reason. The Creator doesn't create anything that has no purpose, and if something is evil, it comes from the Creator. So we must know, not assume, but know that even these things that we see as evil, they come from the Creator, and they're meant for good, for our own development, for our own correction. So today we're going to touch on some of those concepts, and those concepts we have talked in the past about them as well, and it's the concepts of the awakening from above and an awakening from below. And this is explained by the Kabbalists in the following way, that an awakening from above is basically like the Creator somehow interacting with its creation by pushing, by letting us know somehow that things need to change. For example, if we are suffering, like at this moment, from a pandemia, or like they say in English, pandemic, we need to know that that's an awakening from above. It's nature telling us something. Regardless of what you believe, if it is something created by the government or created by mass hysteria, or whatever you want, but it's still a message from nature. It's still a message from nature telling us that we need to change. Okay? And it doesn't matter where that came from, whether it was created naturally in nature, like they say, from it was passed from animal to human beings, or whether it was created on a lab. It doesn't matter. It's still nature. We need to understand that whether it was created on a lab or not, or if it is created even by a fake, I would say, like a fake emergency, global emergency, in order to see how human beings behave and everything like that, or like I say, like a social experiment, still nature. Why? Because as human beings, we need to understand that we're not separated from nature. We're still part of nature. So whatever we do, whether we do good or bad, we're still part of nature. And good people, bad people, they're still part of nature. So when we see good things happening, we tend to give thanks to the Creator for the things that are happening. When things are not good, and when I say when they're not good, they are bad or evil, it's because it brings us suffering. Because it brings us suffering, we see them as bad. But it is because we are not connected with nature. So nature somehow give us some kind of push, some kind of way to feel uncomfortable so we can move in life. And the reason I'm bringing this into the beginning of this lesson is because we're going to be talking now about basically a duality that is born after the Shavira Hakalim. But it's not a duality, it's an illusion of duality. We're going to see vessels of perception and bestowal, good and evil, mingling together. But at the same time, we're going to see, because of this mingling, because of this mixing of these forces, we have something to work with. We have something that we can create corrections. And that's very important to understand. That is according to our perception that we're going to see things as good and evil, but our perception is very limited. And for example, something very interesting that science can explain as well is that when you look something that is blue, the only light that you are perceiving with your eyes is blue. All the other light you don't perceive it with your eyes, because the object basically absorbs those light. So is the object really blue, or is the object all the other colors? So that's an illusion that we have, that we see an object color blue and we say that the object is blue. That's the light that is bouncing back from the object, but that's not the real color of the object. So in reality, we're not seeing the real color of the object. We have an illusion of seeing the color of the object according to the light that bounces back. And it's the same with what the Creator actually also gives us. So remember, The Creator is good that only does good. That's the secret for Tzaddik. The Tzaddik, doesn't matter how much the Tzaddik suffer, the Tzaddik knows that everything is for the good of humanity and for the good of his own or her own spiritual development. And anything that we see, anything, is basically an illusion created by our own limited perception. Okay? So, because we have a limited perception, the only way we can attain, the only way we can understand what happens in the spiritual realm is by using symbols, symbology of things that we already know in our limited perception. And this is why Kabbalah uses the language of branches. It utilizes names of things that we know. For example, eyes, nose, mouth, and ears, and in the Parsuf, and talking about the goof, body, and things like that, just to convey certain information that otherwise you will not understand. But if you are familiarized with certain words, and then you understand that eyes, mouth, nose, and ears are in a higher level, and the Rosh, the head, is in a higher level of your body, then these forces that are there, we're going to call them Rosh, we're going to call them head, we're going to call them eyes, mouth, ears, nose, because they're in a higher level. Everything that is below, just like our body, we're going to use the names of the body, of a human body, in order to describe that. But it does not necessarily mean that what is up there, up, it's also an illusion. What is up there or in a higher realm, it's necessarily just like the human body. Okay, so it's all an illusion. Okay, so now we're gonna study the world of chaos and the world of correction. And let's talk about the mind nukving. Mind nukving, it's basically the feminine waters. The feminine waters. Let me jump here to this drawing that we did in the last lesson. I move myself down here. Okay. So what you're gonna find is that the mind nukving is called the feminine waters, and raising the feminine waters means that the egoistic vessels, in this case Malchut, ask Bina to feel its emptiness, the emptiness that Malchut has here in this area, right in this area. And it is desire for reception to make Malchut similar. Basically what it wants is Malchut wants to be similar to Bina. And if you hear the dog, it's I apologize for that. And Jimmy, to make Malchut similar to Bina. So Malchut needs to basically become a vessel of bestowal, or receive the attributes, or become similar to Bina, to become a bestower. The concept of feminine waters is basically a request that is made for the light of Hasidim, this light of that brings basically altruistic desire, altruistic desire. So it's basically the light of Hasidim, like I mentioned in other classes, is like this pipe through which the light of Chokmah is gonna go through, and it's only through Or Hasidim that you are going to receive the light of Chokmah in the lower Kalims. Okay. In Tzimtzum Bet, as we mentioned before, only the Gagalta Einayim, the vessels of bestowal, are working. These are the only desires that are filled, the Galgalta 9, because this Parsuf, it's in Katnut, meaning it's in a smallness. Now, the Galut start on Keter and Avi. So basically the light start coming down here when a Sivuk is made in PDP, right? If you remember that from the previous class. And when it does that, it basically expands into 10 Sefirot. In Keter expand to 10 Sefirot. And Avi, when that's Ava Ve'ima, as Chokmah and Bina, also start expanding to 10 Sefirot. So, but it is not in Son. Son still Galgalta 9 with its Malchut. It's still not 10 Sefirot. 10 Sefirot for Son will be all this area down here as well. So, Son receives an awakening from the Yesod or Galgalta. So Galgalta here, which you see, it's gonna be also divided into 10 Sefirot, and that's gonna be basically an awakening from desires 4-3, which is Ab, and remember Ab is what? Receiving. It receives. It's Chokmah, so it receives. And what's gonna happen is the following. By this zone raised man, meaning this Parsuf here, makes a request, raises man, meaning raises the mind of the feminine waters, and receive Mad. Mad is mind Dochrim, which is the masculine waters. The light enters below the Parsa, which creates a breaking of the vessel, Shevirat Hakalim. So that's what's happening there. So this is basically something that I didn't explain in the previous class, and I wanted to make sure that you understand why was this Sivug made over here, because it wasn't just made or happened because it's the way the system works. It was because there was a request done, because over here it was starting to become Gatlut and Gatlut, but in the bottom, in order to be in Gatlut, it includes this Sefirot down here. So by making that request to receive the light came and basically destroyed the vessels or broke the vessels. So that's what happened in that area. So one thing that the Kabbalists tell us is that these vessels basically fell, they broke, and like the symbolism of the 8 Melachim, the 8 kings, they died. So what does that mean? So what you need to understand is the following, is that when a vessel falls from its degree, that means that the vessel fell to a lower degree. Falling means exactly that, going to a lower degree. Breaking, the breaking of the vessel, it means that the vessel lost its masach, lost its screen. Okay? But when it says that the vessel died, like the 8 Melachim, they died, that means that basically the light departed the vessel. There's no light, the vessel is lacking light. So basically it's considered dead. Okay? Alright, so the Kabbalists and the Zohar teaches that during the breaking of the vessel's eight kings died. Who are these 8 kings that died? they are the 8 kings who ruled in the land of Edom, before any king ruled the children of Israel. They are created when Avi, Abba Ve'ima, makes a sibuk in Pe of Keter, and Melech Dad is created. The Kalim of Dad breaks, and the Hap of Keter disappears. When Melech HaChesed broke, the Hap of Chokmah disappeared. When Melech Geburah broke, the Hap of Binah disappeared. When Melech Shlish Elyon, that is the 1/3 of Tiferet, broke, the Hap of Serampin disappeared. Only the Galgal Tainaim in Katnut with Avihu Shoresh remain. So what are we talking about there? And by the way, I'm reading from the book that I wrote called Opening the Gates of Creation. That book is going to be pretty soon available for anyone to buy it. And these classes are based on that book. Okay? So what you have is the following. This is Olam HaNekudim, the World of Nekudim, in Gatlut, right? Before it was in Katnut, and in Katnut was using the Galgal Tainaim. Then when it started growing into Gatlut, it grew the 10 Sefirot of Keter, 10 Sefirot of Abba Ve'ima, and then the 10 Sefirot of the Sun, which created the Shevira HaKalim. And then after that there was 2 Sivugim, one in Avi on the basically Reshimot 4:3, and Reshimot 4:3 is the same as the Reshimot of the following Parsuf, which is Chokmah. Okay, and Chokmah basically is just receiving. Keter is giving, and Chokmah is receiving. Bina is giving as well, and Sag is receiving. Ama is receiving in order to bestow. Okay, so what we have is the following: 10 Sefirot, then it breaks, and there's a sivug made on Abba Ve'ima, and when that happened, there's some breaking of vessels over there. Then there's another sivug made on Yesud, and Yesud is basically the lower part of Abba Ve'ima, and this is how it looks. This is Olam Nekudim in Katnut, Keter, Avi, and Son. Then Avi or Abba Ve'ima and Nekudim when Nekudim is in Gatlut, and Yesud when Nekudim is on Gatlut. So this is how it looks. What's gonna happen is the following. When the Sivug was made, like it says here, let's start now reading. So the 8 kings who ruled the land of Israel, who ruled the land of Edom, before any king ruled the children of Israel. They are created when Avi, this is Avi here, makes a sibuk in Pe of Keter, and Melech Dad is created. So that's why we have that here. So Avi, there's a sibuk, and Melech Dad is created. The Kalim of Dad break, and the Hap of Keter. So this is the Nekudot of Dad, Sivug, and this is Dad. So that's the first breaking right there of Dad. Breaks the Hap, and the Hap of Keter disappear. When Melech Chesed, right here, that's the second breaking, broke, the Hap of Chokmah disappear. When Melech Geburah, which is the following breaking, broke, the Hap of Binah disappear. And then when the 1/3 of Tiferet broke, the Hap of Serampin disappear. Only the Galgal Tainaim in Katnut with Avihu 0, means Avihu Shoresh, remained. And in Yesud, the same thing happened. There were, as it breaks here, you see here the 1/3 Tiferet. So Yesud, which is the lower part, right, of Avi, broke as well. There were basically a breaking of Yesod. The first one was in the Tagim, while when it was in Avi, it was in the Tamim, which is the Nekudot the Dat. Yesod breaks, right? And the second breaking breaks the vessels of Nesat and Hod. Then the third breaking, the ones of Yesod. And then the fourth breaking is the one from Mahut. So altogether, all this is the 8 Melachim. And all that is happening basically right in this area here. Okay? So these are basically, that's basically what he's talking about. Right? So as we have explained it before, you know, there are basically these are the 4 stages of development of Avi and Yeshud, which equal the 8 Melachim that broke. 8 Melachim times the 4 stages of development equals 32. 32 times 10, 320. Out of those 320, you take away all the Malchut, keeping only the upper 9, and that will give you the 288 sparks that the Kabbalists tell us that we need to correct in order to raise the level of the whole creation. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what happened. You know, if we know that this world of chaos, you know, the world of Tohu broke, what do we need to do? You know, what we need to create something to fix it. So there's a system called the World of Correction, and that system corrects the broken vessels and creates the soul of Adam Harishon as well through the process of starting to correct that. And that is called Olam Atzilut, which is the world of Atzilut. And this is where we're going to, you know, to spend basically most of the time in our lesson today. Because after the Shevirah HaKelim, the light makes a sivug in something called Metzah. And what is Metzah? Well, we're gonna see what is Metzah. After Shevirah HaKelim, a new system for corrections is created. This system is known as the Olam Atzilut, or World of Correction. Another name given basically is Olam Hatikun. So remember that Adam Kadmon, Ab and Sag are part of the world of Adam Kadmon. So remember that we mentioned that in our previous class, in which basically this Parsuf here all the way to Sag, they belong to Olam Adam Kadmon. And also that Serampim Ma is Olam Nekudim. That's the world that actually breaks, the Olam Hatohu, the world of chaos. And the bone, Mahud, is Olam Atzilut, the world of correction. Ma contains within it Abi and Yesud, which we talk about, because it is an imprint of Adam Kadmon. So you have Abi, Abba Ve'ima, Yesud, and Da'at, you know, because it basically it's copying what is here. Bon is an imprint of the worlds above it. In Bon, we will see all the Kalim that broke and disappear are renewed and reconstructed in what is called Mahadash. So a new Ma basically is born of the corrections done in Bon. All the Ahab that fell to the goof of Avi and Yesud return to the upper part, to the Gimel Rishonot, the first three, Ketechot Mabina, and all the Panim and Achorim, all the fronts and back of the 7 lower ones that fell down to the words of Biyah, ascend to Atzilut with the help of Mahadash. So the purpose of this Parsuf, basically Bon, is to make sure that everything that after the Shevirah HaKalim fell down here to the place of Briah, Yetzirah, and Asiyah is raised back to this level over here, which is the world of Atzilut. Okay, so Olam Atzilut starts in a state of Katnut, just as Olam Nekudim did. When a Parsuf in a state of Katnut is in a state of Katnut, just means that is in a state of embryo. It's called Ibur. As you can see here, it says, after Shevirah HaKalim, it is in a state of embryo. Ibur. In such a state, this Parsuf, which is member bone, is in a state of Aviut. Let me take a look. This one here. Alright. So it's gonna be in a state of that Reshimo right there, which is Reshimo 1-0. So Hitlashu 1, Aviut 0. And there are no Kelim in Haggad, Chesed, Geburah, Tifaret, so it uses the Kelim of Nehi. As it grows, acquiring Hitlashut 2 and 1, which is this one here, it is said that it's in a state of Yenika, meaning suckling. So now we have, instead of an embryo, now it's suckling, so that means, basically it's considered to be born. Once it reaches Aviut Gimel, which is right here, it is considered to be in a state of adulthood, of greatness, called Gatlut. So greatness, Gatlut. Now that we're clear with some concept when it comes to Olam Atzilut, let's start discussing how the system works. Okay? So what we're talking here in the world of Atzilut, we're talking now about a system called Atik. And this system called Atik, it's something that the Zohar talks a lot, especially in the assemblies, the books of assembly, as Sifra de Seinuta talks about different aspects of the face and all that, and you're gonna find the Idra Rabba, Idra Sutta, that Rabbi Shimon talks about Atik. The Reshimot of Hitlashut 1 and Aviut 0 that remain in Parsuf Nekudim, and Reshimot Hitlashut 4 and 3 are the end of the Parsuf Galgalta. So what we're gonna see is a Reshimot Aviut 0 demands a Sivuk in the vessels of bestowal. For this, the screen that creates a Parsuf must perform a Sivuk on Rosh where the vessels of bestowal are located. To do this, the screen raises from Pet to Keter of Rosh, the Sag, and then to Bina the Keter. So let's go back to our Rosh here. So what he's saying, basically, the Aviut 0 on the Parsuf demands a Sivuk, is raising man. So for this, screen that creates a Parsuf must perform a Sivuk in the Rosh. So we're in the Rosh here, right? where the vessels of Vistor are located. And to do this, the screen raises from Pe, so basically from Malchut to Keter, to here, of Rosh the Sag, and then to Bina the Keter, so from Malchut to Keter and then to Bina the Keter. This place is called Metzach, or the forehead. The parsuk created by the restricted Reshima of a view series called Ibur. Basically, it's an embryo. So we might say, that a sivug is made Metzach, right? And what we have is right here. This is the area Metzach. So what we have is then a parsuf Atik being born in, or not being born or created in a state of Ibur, which is a step of embryo. Then, once the parsuf is created, it descends and returns to the place below the tabur, the Galgalta. So, just to make sure that you guys know where we at, this is tabur. And this is the parsa. The second restriction, first and second restriction, and then we have the siyum, which is the ending. Okay. So once the parsuf is created, it descends and returns to the place below the tabur, the Galgalta, where the Reshimot came from, as it makes another sivug in Reshimot to 1. So now we're at this level here. Let's see, this is Metzach, and now it's doing a sivug, they are kind of lower level, still in vessels of Istol though, and develops into Yenika. So this is considered, step of Yenika, still Katnut, as well as smallness. The Reshimot 4.3 awaken. It is because of this Reshimot that the parsuf attains Gatlut. The sivuk on Reshimot 4.3 expands from tabur to the parsa. The parsuk created is called Atik, or ancient. So this is basically how Atik is born. So it becomes like a baby, like a small toddler, teenager, and then adulthood. So that's what's happened. Now, Atik belongs to what is called the World of Nekudim. The World of Nekudim is another world that is in a state of chaos. The only difference between the World of Nekudim and the World of Nekudim is that in the World of Nekudim, the chaos that is in there, even though there's chaos, let's put it this way, that world, or that parsuf does not break. It is different than Nekudim. Nekudim breaks, right? It creates a Shevirat Hakalim. And here, as you can see, it says they've got loot. Why it doesn't break? Because it functions according to Tzimtzum Aleph. It's not functioning according to Tzimtzum Bet. And that's why. After Atik reaches Gatlut, Rosh the Sag gives it all the Reshimot that rose to it after the Shevirat. Atik performs a sivuk with the fineness and create a parsuf from the state of Ibur to state of Gadlut, as we saw, and the new parsuf expands to the Atik, to the Parsa, and it is called parsuf Chokmah. So what we say here is that the new parsuf expands from Pe the Atik. Where is Pe the Atik? Right here, right? Pe the Atik to the Parsa, which is all the way down here, and it is called Parsuf Chokmah of Arin Camping. So what we have is the following. This is Atik, Tzintzum Aleph, now Atik on Tzintzum Bet, as in Tzintzum Bet, and in here we're gonna see is the Pe. The same Pe is here, now it's in a lower, basically at the tabur, and from here all the way to the Parsa, that is Arin Camping. Okay. Atik is all the remaining Reshimot that rose to Rosh Hashanah to Arin Camping, and performs a sivuk in the finest one, and creates a new parsuf called Bina, and that parsuf called Bina of Olam Atzilut, also called Abba Be'iman, which is Avi. So from the Pe of Atik we have Arin Camping, from the Pe of Arin Camping we have Avi, from the Pe of Avi we have Seramping, from Seramping then we have Mahud. So it's basically so. Alright. So let's jump ahead a little bit here. And one thing is that you have to remember that Olam Atzilut is in Bina, and the rest of the world, Bia, are in Mahud. Remember when we had that division that about Bina before Shavira HaKalim basically trying to bestow to the lower Kalims over here. These lower Kalim were ruled by Mahud basically. So these are vessels of reception, vessels of bestowal. So what you're gonna see is that Atzilu is basically of bestowal on the face of Bina. Atzilut is not the chaos of that you're gonna find in Olam Nekudim, where the Shevira happened, but a different chaos called the chaos of Olam Akudim, where the rectifications happen. Also know that each parsuf is divided into two parts, Galgalta and 9, which are vessels of Istol and Hap. So the same thing that we saw before, Galgalta 9 and Hap, these places are gonna be divided the same way. In addition to this, because of the Shevirah, the Kli consists of various combination vessels of mentioned above. The vessels, when combined, created 4 parts. So let's go to the 4 parts. It created 4 parts inside the Kli when they broke, right? It created the Gargarta and 9. Gargarta and 9 inside a Hab. And a Hab inside Gargalta and 9, and the Hab by itself. So the combination, in this combination, basically what you're gonna find is that in here, in these combinations, are gonna be the 320 vessels that we spoke before, and they're gonna be found in this mingling, this mixing of all these vessels. Okay, and that's so how are these vessels, after they're mixed together, used? So they're used the following way. The Galgalta 9 are used to create the word of Atzilut. I don't know what this one change. So basically, is creating the world of Atzilut. So these vessels are used to create that world, the world of Atzilut. Okay. Then what we're gonna find is that the Galgalta and 9 inside the hub are used to create the world of Bia. Bia is Vestual, but are contained inside the hub below Atzilut because they are Vestual. Okay. So now what we have is here these vessels are used, to create the world of Bia. Bia means is an abbreviation for Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. Okay. So the next level, which is the Ahab inside the Galgalta and 9, those are used by the human souls, and we gotta understand how they're used by the human souls. So Galgalta 9 creates Olam Atzilut. The Galgalta and 9 in the Hab it creates Bia, and then having Galgalta 9 creates the human soul. Galgalta 9 inside a Hab is used to create the world of Bia, and then a Hab inside Galgalta 9 are used by the human soul. By performing corrections or what we call mitzvot, they raise these vessels above the Parsa to the Olam Atzilut. So the human souls, by performing corrections, and the corrections, in Kabbalah are called mitzvot, are called commandments. By performing those commandments and performing them with the proper intention, that's the only way that we can make this Ahab, which is the lowest of the lowest, rise over the Parsa to the word of Absolute. Okay, so we have here is a word of correction, the world of Bia, which is 3 worlds, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya, and then the human souls. And the human souls are basically, when it says human soul, is it's talking about the souls of the Tzaddikim, which is something for more advanced Kabbalah, in which you learn about how through these people that have actually corrected themselves, they'll become pillars of the human souls, of the human race, and help us correct, and help us advance spiritually. Also, the rest of us, by performing the mitzvah, especially the mitzvah of loving your neighbor as yourself, loving your fellow human being as yourself, we raise those lower level vessels above the Parsa as well. When we talk about raising man, raising the feminine waters, when we talk about prayer, this is what prayer is all about. Prayer is basically a desire to help creation correct itself, to help creation rise above the Parsa, to be in a level that is more subtle, in which everything is in harmony and balance. But we achieve that only through love, through the love of our neighbor as ourselves, through balancing our desires with the desires of nature as well. All right? So the corrections that the souls, do during this time with mitzvot and prayers, it's known as an awakening from below. The ahab, however, are pure reception. They can't be used for correction. These vessels are known as klipot, or shells, and lev haven, which is a stony heart. They can only be corrected at the end of corrections, which is called gamar tikkun. The end of correction, gamar tikkun, is done by raising the lower parsufin, including the souls of biyah, using the method of the awakening from below. This ascent is done through 6,000 degrees. These degrees are divided into 2,000 degrees per world of biyah. So let's see what we're talking about here. So what we're talking about here is the following. Each of these, let me change it to black so we can have a contrast there. Okay. So each of these levels, Asiyah, Yetzirah, and Briah, each of them consists of 2,000 degrees, 2,000 levels. And when we raise Abiyut Beit to Atzilut, Abiyut Beit means Abiyut number 2 to Atzilut, we attain Neshama. When we raise Abiyut Gimel, we attain Chaya. When we raise Abiyut Dalet, we attain Yechidah. Atzilut has already the lights of Nefesh and Ruach in it. That's kind of advanced, but I'm not going to explain that, but I'm going to go to the 6,000 degrees, or years, are called the 6 weekdays. Thus, the world of Biyah are weekdays, and the Olam Atzilut is considered the Holy Shabbat. Okay? So, this section here, let me make sure I have the pen. Section here, those are weekdays. Okay? So now we are starting to get some of the puzzle pieces that we need in order to understand the book of Genesis, the book of Bereshit, right? Weekdays, okay? And then the world of Atzilut, it's basically called Shabbat. That's the world of Atzilut. Shabbat and weekdays. Also, very important to know, in the previous class we talked about how the Sefirot were basically arranged one below the other. In the world of correction, the Sefirot are divided into 3 columns: kindness, judgment, and mercy. Basically, Chesed, Din, and Rachamim. So now what you're gonna see is you're gonna see the Sefirot arranged in the form that we usually see them when we talk about the tree of life, in which we have a center column in the center, right? And then we have the other two columns on the side, which is basically Din and Chesed. Sefirot Chokmah, Chesed and Nesach from the right line of Chesed. Sefirot Bina, Geburah and Hod from the left line of Din. The middle line of Rachamim is formed by Da'at, Tifaret, and Yesod. And you're going to say, where is Malchut? Well, Malchut is below, down here. Because remember, if this thing fell, Malchut is down here. It's a place where there's no light. So it's below. It's part of those degrees that we need to raise. Okay, so understand this, because once we talk once again about the days of creation, we're gonna be talking again about the 8 melachim that broke. Why? Because the first day is gonna be Chesed. So something happened, and that we were able to restore life, and that's when the basically resurrection of the death concept came from. Resurrecting the dead kings that died during the breaking of the vessels. So that's what's going to happen when the book of Bereshit starts. Okay, so the book of Bereshit, as you can see here, this is the World of Atzilut. This is the part we're explaining right now. Once we see the birth of the Olamot of Biyah, the birth of the words of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, we are going then to enter the realm of the book of Bereshit. And that's basically when we are going to be finishing our intermediate lessons to enter then the Sefer Bereshit, the book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis, and then talk about what's really going on here, which is the goal that we wanted anyway with these classes, is for you to start understanding the Torah from a Kabbalistic perspective, and not just from a point of view that will just give you probably moral lessons only. It will also give you spiritual, moral, and action lessons as well, because the Torah is all about taking action as well, not only about just reading, trying to understand, philosophizing, and trying to give beautiful messages about things that are happening today using the Torah, that kind of stuff. No, there's also spiritual aspect to it, and the Torah has that. That's the spirit. The spirit of the Torah is Kabbalah. So if you understand the Torah according to Kabbalah, you will get that part, the spiritual part of it, the light that is within it, and then you can still continue using the Torah for moral lessons, for other type of usage, as long as it is not something negative or that is damaging other people. Okay, so we're gonna leave it there because we're running out of time, but in the next lesson we're gonna then pay more attention to the worlds of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, and how this world of Atzilut actually plays a role in creating those worlds, and how those worlds are actually born after Olam Atzilut it is developed. So this is all for today. I hope you understand, or you understood most of the concepts here. If not, watch the video once, or not only once, or twice, 3 times, until you get this concept. And if you don't understand any concept, just go to www.receivingtheupperlight.com, go to the website, find the tab of contact, and in there write your email, your name. If you want to remain anonymous, that's still fine. We're still gonna receive the email, and ask any questions, or if you want to request the drawings that we have here in PDF form, we freely give them to you. We don't charge for anything. This is just on a voluntary basis, what we're doing here, and we send it to you through your email. Also send us any questions, and we will answer those questions in our lessons. Like, for example, there was a question on a previous class about basically how does this system here correlates with what we talk about the development of the direct light, of the desire over here. And it's basically Chokmah, Bina, Tiferet, the same thing, just in a different way or a different system, and we call them Galgalta, Absak, Bon. But it's the same thing as this over here. It's just that now we have more details because this is something that is closer to us, closer to our realm, or physical realm, and that's what we can explain a little bit more. Okay, and it's the same thing here. You're gonna find the same basically concepts here. So it's Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Serampina, Malchut. So Kabbalah is basically like a fractal, I call it fractal spirituality. So everything that you see in the top, you're gonna see in the bottom, just like this, like some wisdom say, as above, so it is below. So as the pattern above, so it will be the pattern below. Okay, so this is it for today. I'll show you here what I was explaining. So because it didn't appear, and so the question was about how this is related with this over here, and it's basically the same thing. Chokmah, Bina, Tiferet, Chokmah, Bina, Tiferet, Malchut with Keter, right? And when you look at what we're studying right now, you're gonna find the same thing. Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Serampia, Malchut. Everything is the same. Okay. All right. So this is it for today. I hope you have enjoyed it. Like I said, any questions, go to www.receivingtheupperlight.com, and there go to the contact tab and submit your questions. And also feel free to join us in our private group in Facebook. If you don't have the link, or you don't know the link, let me know. I'll send it to you, and also on an email if you do a request. I will try to put it on the comments below, and so you can click on it and be part of it if you are interested. Also, the book I'm reading from, this is a book, actually this is a sample of the book that I wrote, and this book is gonna be on sale pretty soon. It's called Opening the Gates of Creation, and it was written by me. It's made for people that are kind of like intermediate when it comes to Kabbalah, but it's made basically for studying. So as you read it, you can actually study what you're reading with us here in these classes. So these classes are gonna be based mostly in these books. I'm gonna follow this book in order to keep the flow of the classes, and if you buy the book, then you can come to the YouTube classes and just follow through with the book. Okay, so this is it. I'll see you on the next class, on class number 8. We're gonna touch the worlds of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya in more detail, and then after that we're gonna go to the book of Bereshit. Right, Thank you very much. I'll see you later. Shalom. Leitraot.